I have something on my heart that I need to get out. If you have been watching these messages, and if you have considered these to be good messages, if you think I'm the kind of person that would be able to deliver a good message in your church, that will motivate your people, that will get your people out telling others about God, that will help them change their hearts, then I want to talk in your churches. I firstly want to talk to your pastors. So I want to ask your pastors if they will allow me to talk in their churches about whatever they choose, whether it be about their people becoming more godly, walking away from sin and walking towards godliness, or whether it be about getting those people out to evangelism, to tell others about Jesus, or whatever it may be. They're the two main focuses, though. I am here to motivate people to gain a strong relationship with God. Then, to help them find their call, to help them train in that call, to help them launch that call, and to do so with a body of community of believers around them that will support them, not necessarily financially, but support them by attending their meetings, or by giving them advice, or by even simply maybe having a coffee with them and talking about whatever issues they might have in their calling. And that can be any calling. It doesn't necessarily need to be fivefold calling. It doesn't necessarily need to be a pastor, apostle, a prophet, a teacher, an evangelist. It can be a counsellor, an usher, somebody that goes to hospitals as a hospital ministry, or visits prisons, or somebody that goes and feeds the hungry, or somebody that goes out in the streets and tells people about God as an evangelist, but not a fivefold evangelist, or somebody that is an usher, or somebody that might be recording videos in churches. It doesn't matter what their call is. I'm here to get a group of people together that want to help others launch their call. So I'm putting some calling training together for every kind of role, even whether it be an usher, how to be an usher effectively, or whether it be a pastor, how to train up as a pastor. Now, there's a massive difference between what an usher needs in training, 3 or 4 hours maybe, compared to what a pastor needs in training, 3 or 4 years maybe. There's a major difference. So, I'm here to tell people how to get a better relationship with God, how to then find their call and to launch that call. And if you're already in your call, you can help us by helping others reach their call, etc. Now, please let your pastors know that I would like to talk in their churches, whether it be from the stage or pulpit, or just from the aisle of the congregation. I don't need to speak out loud. I don't need to preach from a stage. I can easily preach from a stage, but I would be happy if they would let me talk to their people about evangelism, for example. And this is the one thing that I want to talk to most people about, because I want to build evangelistic teams all over the place as part of that ministry, of part of helping people find their call, train in that call, and launch that call. Because no matter what individual call you might have, you might be called as a pastor, but you're also called to tell people about God. You might be called as an usher, but you're also called to tell people about God. No matter what you're called in, everyone has the duty of telling people about God. So therefore, one of my main focuses is to organise teams to go out and tell people about God in an organised fashion. We will teach them simple ways to get people interested in God. We will teach them things like what kind of responses they're getting from people and how to treat those responses, and how to know if they're on the right track or if they're off the track, and how to know when to walk away because that person's not going to turn to God, or how to decide when it's a matter of, hey, would you like to turn to God right now? Can we say a prayer to ask God in your life? And then beyond that, getting people to say a sinner's prayer is just the first step. That's knocking on the door. The door is then opened, and then it's a matter of walking down that narrow path, of which that is the journey of Christianity. And I'm distracted at the moment because a car has pulled up in the driveway in front of me. But that's okay. So, what do we need to do when out evangelizing? Well, we need to know those methods that I was just talking about, and we also need to get contact details from these people and follow them up. If they live in a different city to where we've connected with them, then we need to be able to get them in touch with other churches in other places. If they're not quite ready to commit, but they're ready to talk a little bit more about God, great. We need to organise times for them to have a communication with either ourselves or someone else that is willing to bring them to God. Then, once they've made that commitment, there's always the follow-up. The follow-up in this case is discipleship. Somebody needs to teach them how the basics of Christianity, and then the moderate levels of Christianity, and then ideally to get a strong relationship with God. But that's not the end. Once you've done that, once you've got a strong relationship with God again, you need to find your call, train in that call, release or be released in that call, to launch in that call, and to step out. Stepping out is not easy. So therefore, we can put a community of people around anyone stepping out in any kind of ministry. Sure, we haven't done it yet as I speak this. Mind you, I've had a few people say, right, look, I'd like assistance in this area, and we've helped a little bit. And I'd like assistance in this area from another, and we've helped a little bit. We haven't taken anyone through the entire process, but this is the very beginning. I've only just started putting this together. This is the rough sketch of the building before the blueprint is even made, before the project manager is even hired, before the builders are hired, before the ground is dug up and the building built. In this case, I am the architect, as it were, just doing a rough sketch of what the building should look like. We're miles off doing pretty much any of this, but still, what's my point? My point is, none of this will happen. The church will keep going downhill, the way it's been going for years, in this country at least anyway. In Asia and in Africa it's growing somewhat, but in the Western world it's been going down. because people are becoming atheists. They say, I don't believe in a God. I will just live my life the way I live my life. They don't know the wonders and great life they can have by discovering God, because nobody talks about it. That's the kind of thing that we need to tell them about, but they don't know just yet. But I'll deal with how we tell them, etc., at another time. What I'm asking right now is for people to commit to asking their pastor if I can communicate with them directly and start organising their people. I'm not here to take over anyone's church. I'm not here to take people from anyone's church. I'm here to add people to everyone's church. It doesn't matter whether it's the Baptist church or the Uniting Church or the Assemblies of God or a Pentecostal church or a Church of Christ or the Anglican church, whatever church, it doesn't matter. We're here to build the church, to put more people in the church, not take them from you. I'm not saying give this message to your pastor. Maybe in some cases it would be a good thing to do. I'm going to ask you now to find the best messages that I've delivered. How many messages have you watched me talk about? If you've watched me talk about something and you thought, gee, that was a good message, give it to your pastor. Either send him an email or her that has a link to one of my messages and say, look, watch this. This person wants to step out in God more. They want opportunities to talk in people's churches, and they don't need to talk from the stage. They're happy just to talk to people one-on-one about these things, about A, getting your life right, B, getting out there and telling others about God. And if it needs to be one-on-one, I think I have a slight preference to having the opportunity to talk to the entire congregation at once, so from the stage. However, if a pastor says, great, look, our church is losing people, the numbers are dwindling, come and help us grow, especially in the Gold Coast, Brisbane area at this point. For at this time, I can't get to other cities in this country, for example, or to other countries. I've got too much to do in this area first. Maybe later this year or in a year or two, I can go to other places like Perth or Sydney or wherever else. But for the moment, my physical presence is in the Gold Coast, Brisbane area. And I will be very happy to turn up at any church in this area and motivate the people, not only motivate the people, but help them become organised to train in evangelism and in their calling, but primarily in evangelism as well as their calling, because again, everybody's called to evangelise. Evangelism is the most important thing. Why be an usher if nobody has turned to Christ to be ushered into a church? What's the use of being a pastor if there's no one sitting in those pews? The prime thing is we need people in the churches, and we need them listening to good, godly messages as well. Messages of growth, messages that will show them where their relationship with God lacks and what needs to be done, how to turn to God. But that's just a part of this entire thing. Let's get back to the evangelism. I want to train your church, whoever you are, wherever you are. I want you to tell your pastor, or if you happen to be a pastor, allow me to talk to your people. That's the important part of this message. Thank you for listening. Now, if you haven't looked at my other messages, find out what I talk about. Look at the other messages. If you've looked at the other messages, try and remember what was the best one and show that to other people. Let's get organised and contact me or the Narrow Door through Facebook, Facebook/groups/the Narrow Door, or the Narrow Door website, just narrowdoor.org. That'll take you to Jehoshua.org, and Jehoshua was the Hebrew name of Joshua, which was Joshua came after Moses. He was the leader of Israel after Moses. So his name was actually Jehoshua. And it's not important where the names came from, etc. and everything, but what's important is the Narrow Door website is hosted there. And that's what's going to explain more of what we do. Please, nothing happens if people like you and me don't put our hands up and say, we're ready to tell others. Even if it's not telling them about Jesus, even if it's not telling them about God, or Yeshua if you prefer. We need to get the message out that there's a better life. God will make that life better. And if we keep our mouths shut, then we're burying the talent. And if you haven't read the parable of the talents, read it. The one that buried the talent got cast out. So, that'll do for this message. Bless you. Govern well. Encourage.